Now guys, if you could subscribe, smash that bell, that would be really helpful and really help us a lot at SSA Athletics. Today on this video, I tell you how I prepare for doing training. What kind of equipment do I need? And what I generally take for after training that may be helpful. Now guys, if you could smash the like and subscribe in this video, it really helps us a lot on SSA Athletics in order to help teach you, but also to help us with our training. Help us train children. You can catch us on here at SSA Athletics or on our other socials. Likewise, after lockdown is over, you can find us at Garens Athletics Track. So when we go to athletics and we go and compete, there's really one main thing we really need. That is taking your water bottle. Water is very much important. Generally when we train, a 2% drop in your hydration levels can lead to a 20% drop in performance. Now what you can do as well to give you a little bit of energy, maybe have some kind of energy drink, and when I mean energy drink, we're talking about sports isotonic drinks here. And there are three main types, that being your isotonic, isokinetic drinks, but likewise these all vary depending on the amount of sugar they have in them. But when you're training with children probably under the age of 11, they're not really necessary. Now when you get older and you have a little bit more equipment, you're going to need to have a good sturdy backpack in order to transport this equipment around. Now you can go to Sports Direct and get some. I've got one here that's a little bit dearer because I'm often training many times during the week and I want something that will last and is a little bit stronger, but that's just my personal preference. What you're going to need inside these spikes. Now we notice from our kids, never ever warm up in a pair of spikes. These are performance shoes. Unless you want to injure yourself, never warm up in them. You can train in them, but never warm up in a pair of spikes. So what I generally do in terms of spikes, I have my middle distance spikes, and these are, as a sprinter generally, I will have my middle distance spikes in order to give myself a little bit more protection on the hill. Yes, I know I'm not running on the hill, but they give you a little bit more protection than a sprint spike would. And this is another reason why you shouldn't train in spikes. When you're jogging on your heel. These have no heel, so you're bound to hurt yourself. But likewise, now I'm a little bit older, I take two pair of spikes with me. My middle distance spikes and some sprint spikes, just in case I want to do a little bit more faster work. It's not necessary that you take a pair of sprint spikes with you. Some people, or most people, will just take a pair of middle distance spikes, and these are their training spikes. So these are my competition spikes, and these are my training spikes. Also, what you might want to take, some form of myofascial release, just to help break down any muscles, just to help prepare, or maybe even to warm your muscles up. And generally, if you have anything else, you may want to take a training diary, for instance. So a pen comes in handy for that. You can help write down what you did for your training session, and then reflect back on it at a later date to help with your planning of your own training, seeing what works, seeing what didn't work. What I also have for me is some form of after training nutrition. Now, for younger kids, not really necessary. For the older, slightly smellier kids, going to be a little bit more necessary. And you find that generally with a developing child, they're going to have more after their training than possibly what I would have, depending on the intensity of that training. Now, I would generally take some form of protein shake, around about 24 grams of protein and a little bit more carbohydrate in that. Personally, I'd take a bit of L-glutamine in there, but all of this stuff is going to vary depending on what your training is like. Alternatively, not so healthy, well, they're not as healthy as food in general, and these aren't as healthy as food in general, but you might want to take a protein bar instead of this. For those who have really long car journeys, it's best if you maybe take a form of food with you as a form of dinner, possibly in some kind of Tupperware box. A child, they have to eat something then in order to meet their nutritional requirements. They are a growing child doing sport, and they generally need to have more nutrition-wise than the average child would generally have.